Does this place look familiar to anyone? Figured I'd go back out to the same spot since I ended up leaving one of my tripods out here last weekend. And check out the depth of the snow. These are 18-inch boots, and it's almost to the very top of these boots. Up past the running boards a little bit on the Yukon. Plowing a little bit with my bumper. We got a lot of snow since last weekend. Anyways, camp's right up the road here. I'm gonna get moving. Okay, we're going to head to the campsite, which is like 100 yards down this little old logging trail, and clear the snow, put the tent down, set it up, and go gather some firewood. Excited about being out here. There's lots of snow out here, close to 18 inches or so. So it should be a good trip. So there's what I left last week. Sitting here waiting for me. Well, the tripod that I came back out here specifically for, I just broke it. This thing's nice for hanging in trees and stuff like that. I'm sure I can still use it to hang it on branches and such, but not going to really be able to use it for a tripod. Alright, I'm going to go grab the rest of my stuff. Well, there's some more of it. Whew. Not working for this one today, campers. Got a trusty saw, Boy Scout in a can, and an axe. I also have this. Now this ought to make things a lot more comfortable. Other than that, I'm going to get my stove set up. I'm going to cut some firewood and get some coffee brewing. Warm me up. My beard's frozen. Frozen. My beard's frozen. All right, let's get life support hooked up. Now remember last week I ran it with the chimney on this end of the stove, on the front of the stove. This week I'm going to run it with the chimney on the back of the stove the way it's supposed to be. And I think that's going to give me a lot more heat, and the fire will burn a lot better. Okay, let's get the chimney going. Now remember, you should wear gloves, otherwise you might slice and dice your hands. Okay, I'm going to stick it through the roof. First I got to put on the spark arrestor. Don't forget to put your clamps on first. And I noticed it works a lot better if you move those up to get this over the damper. There, now I got it. There we go. There's our heat and our cooking source. Alright, cool. Time to get some firewood. Alright, gonna get some twigs to get the fire going. And I typically like using pine branches. They usually burn pretty good and they're usually dry on the bottom of the trees. I forgot to knock the snow off there. Ooh, that got me. All right, let's do this one. Ooh, created a blizzard. Okay, I'm going to gather these up, take them over to the tent, and I'm going to cut those logs up, get the fire going. Check back in a bit. Make sure I'm getting as much of the length as I can out of that stove. Not to mention I don't want too short of stuff either. Ah. Heat. Heat. Shh. All right, well, we'll get this cut up. Let's get this stove going. All right, let's get this party started. Okay. I want to show some of you people something. It's something I learned a long time ago on how to light a match real easily. Now, if you got a matchbook like this, the old school cardboard matches, so let's say your hands are cold, really cold, and you can barely feel your fingers, and you know it's life or death situation to where you need a fire. What you want to do is take your match and stick it in there right on the rough part that you strike it off of. And then take the top and fold it around and hold on to the match like this. Don't hold super tight or anything, just enough to create some friction. And voila, super easy. Watch out though, you might burn your finger or your thumb or whatever. But, oop. That one didn't work. Let's try that again. There we go. And we have flamage. See the steam coming off of the stove from the snow that got on it. Snap, crackle, and pop. Alright, we'll check back in a second here. Had to get my high quality patented glove dryer set up. Hey, what the? Dude, that's not cool, man. Come on, have some respect. Jeez Louise. That's not the way you act in front of the camera. Now you're just all... There, make a fist. Knock it off. Alright. Now we got them straightened out. Alright, I'm gonna get some coffee going here. I like using a percolator. Gives it more flavor. I don't use one at home, I just use a regular coffee pot like most people. But out here, I mean, I could use just a small pot or something like that to warm up some water, but this actually cooks more of the flavor into the coffee compared to just pouring the water over, hot water over coffee grounds, or compared to just a regular coffee pot for that matter. So now in a percolator, I like to use a coffee filter, and this is just one of your cone, regular old cone coffee filters. And the reason why I use a filter is because these holes are rather big, so a lot of coffee grounds get through them, and I don't like coffee grounds in my coffee. So what I do for these is I fold them in on the bottom, and then I basically make the center of it wet a little bit, so that way this little rod will push right through there. You don't need much moisture, just a little bit, and it pushes right through. Okay, let's put some coffee in there. Now I like my coffee nice and strong, so I put a 1/4 cup of grounds in per half a pot, and I like to mound it up a bit. So let's get this in there. So I'll spill in the rest of my coffee grounds. Whoops! Oh, shoot! I spilled some on the tarp. Oh well. That's all right. A little bit never hurt anybody. Spread it around a bit. Put it in there. I still got to get my water in there. Close this up. I gotta grab my water, it's just outside. Should be enough for 2 cups. I like to be precise and measure it usually, but I didn't really feel like getting my cup. Okay, there, get that puppy going. Put it where it's close to level. Alright, in a little while we'll have some coffee. I'll check back in a bit. I'm going to go cut some firewood. Just about done splitting my firewood for the night. Coffee's on, it's not percolating yet, but it will be soon. And then dinner. Special top of the stove tonight. Alright, let's get this bad boy set up. That way I'll have something to sit on and get up off the ground. Never even taken this out of the box yet, so learning as I go. That's high quality. Yeah, this is cool. Pillow on it. Alright, I'm gonna get this set up and I'll check back in a bit. Alright, well, I got all my firewood cut and split for the night. I know I got plenty. I'll definitely have some left over. I'm not too worried about it going out tonight because it'll be a lot easier getting the fire going in the morning rather than waking up every few hours. And I mean, if I do wake up and I can put some wood in the fire and it'll keep going, then I will. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that tonight, about keeping it going. I'm gonna stick one more piece of wood in here if it'll fit. Waiting for coffee to get done so that way I can start dinner. The fire kind of died down on me a little while ago, so but she's starting to heat up. I can hear it. Should be percolating pretty soon. But I'll check back in a bit and we'll have dinner going. Just sitting here enjoying the fire. I got my mat laid out and I'm gonna have a soda before coffee gets done. Well, that's backwards, but Vernors, Michigan brand, a Michigan original since 1866. The original ginger soda, naturally and artificially flavored. Authentic, bold taste. Tell you what, this stuff's got bite. If you're not careful, she'll take your breath away right at first. That's some good soda. I don't always drink soda, but when I do, it's Vernors. All right, we've got percolation. Nice slow percolation. Started a few minutes ago. So I'll let that go for about 10 minutes and then I'll get dinner going. Getting that ready right now. Alright, check back in a bit. Okay dokie. Here is dinner. Got some smokehouse beer brats with Stevens Point Brewery. Point brewing excellence since that 1857. Oh yeah, that's been around a little while. So you say, oh, whoop-de-doo, bratwurst, how's that special? Well, did you happen to see the beer in the background? That's right. We're going to boil them in beer, and then that beer is going to boil down to a caramelization, and it gives it a really good flavor. I really like my bratwurst this way. However, one downfall though is, I don't know if you've ever boiled beer or not, but it doesn't smell the greatest, so it's kind of a turn off at first, but then once you eat one, and it's delicious. They're really good. I haven't had them like this in a while though. Okay, everybody says don't poke your bratwurst, don't put holes in them. You let all the flavor out. No, most cases, yeah, I wouldn't purposely poke holes in my bratwurst. But when you're boiling them in beer, this helps get all that flavor in there. And you don't lose anything. Now that you got your bratwurst all poked, holes all jabbed in them, take your beer, whatever your flavor that you like, just fill them up. Now you really only got to do this once. You can do it multiple times, as many times as you want. I don't know that it really helps to keep on redoing it. I do like to do it a couple of times. That way they just get to cook a little longer or whatever, and get a little bit more of the flavor cooked into them. So coffee's just about done, and these will be going on in a few minutes here, and hopefully it won't take too awfully long. It does take a little while though. And these bratwursts are going to serve two purposes. I'm going to eat 2 to 3 of them tonight, and then I'm going to have 1 or 2 tomorrow with breakfast with eggs. And I got some English muffins too. I forgot my potatoes, but that's okay. This will be good enough. And I got some chips and nuts for later on for a snack. So I'm definitely not going to starve by any means. Okay, I'll check back in a bit when coffee's ready and these go on. Alright, coffee's done. She percolated for better than 10 minutes. Now, try not to spill any. Time to put the double beer brats on. Okay, I'll check back in a bit. Finally, coffee time. Oh yeah, she's piping hot. Oh, this is how I normally like my coffee. Creamer. I don't like the liquid creamer for some reason. And then I use honey for sweetener. It's going to take a minute, it's pretty cold. Come on, honey. Honey is in transit to the spoon. Oh, I think I got a lot. Yeah, see, I was posing for the camera and I got too much now. There we go, right about there. That ought to do it. Whoops. Fail. Coffee fail. Alright. So I gotta get something to clean that up. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Little excess creamer in it, but that's just fine. Let's check on dinner. It's starting to get warm. It's not quite boiling yet. There's the brats taking a bath. Wow, you can smell that warm beer now. I just got the lid on there to help heat it up quicker is all, and then I'm going to take that off as soon as they start boiling. So I'll check in a bit when it's boiling. Oh yeah, they're cooking now. Chimney was hot. Oh, I got it cooled right down already. The performance on the stove is so much better with the lid on, with the chimney in the back of the stove. Alright, dinner is well on its way. It's getting close. This is only the first boil. It does take a while.
I started them a little late, so I'm getting pretty hungry. I'm gonna have me a snack. 8-year age cheddar cheese. And some crackers. Oh yeah. That smells good. Like a mouse set up cheese. Crumbly cheese. Just kind of flaked right off. Oh yeah. That's some quality cheese there. Yes. So this is essentially 8 years old or more. It's definitely crumbly. Yep. Comes from Wisconsin. Cheese capital. Delicious. Love crumbly cheese. I'm going to put some of this cheese on my brats too. You see how it's starting to get that dark color to it. That'll all turn into a gooey caramelization. And it's like a coating on the brats too. Then I just put mustard on them. Or sauerkraut. Sauerkraut would have been awesome tonight, but it's just going to be mustard tonight. Well, that little stove puts off some heat. I just had to take off my sweatshirt. I could definitely get down to my t-shirt. Don't really want to do that, but figure I better cool down a little bit. Yep, that works. Oh yeah, I can already feel my insides cooling down. Perfect. Now I guess I better cool the brats down a bit. That's not quite as far as I wanted them to go. I wanted them to get a little bit more caramelization on there. Yeah, I guess I could wait. Yeah, it won't take long now. I'll wait. Okay. That's close enough. You can see how those bubbles are starting to get really foamy. And there's like just a whole bunch of them. That's close enough. Now time to cool them down a bit. After I cool down, of course. That ought to be enough. these things occasionally. Get them moved around. Bathing in beer. Don't really want them touching too much. They got really foamy. Alrighty. I'll check back in when they're just about done. Yeehaw! Dinner's almost done. Finally. They're getting real close. It's so stinking hot in here. I'm in my t-shirt right now. And my skivvies. Once these brats are done, which will be in the next few minutes here, I'm going to turn this stove way down because it's hot. Way hotter in here this time than it was last time. Anyways, check back in a bit when I'm pulling them off. Oh yeah, just another minute or so. Swirl them around in that goodness. Flip them over. Swirl them around again. Oh yeah, they're done now. Pan's pretty hot. They're still cooking. Oh yeah, this is gonna be delicious. I'm starving. Again, as usual. Slash her around in the caramelization a little bit, the sauce. Oh yeah. Now for a little bit of mustard. Excuse me. Pardon me. Oh, the camera's hungry too. Man. Oh yeah. It's hot in here. I got that stove shut way down.
hungry. Okay, I'm going to eat. Get something to drink. And I'll check back in with you in a bit. Round 2 on the burners. Oh yeah. Second brat. Delicious. Yep, just laying here relaxing, enjoying the sound of the snow, the crackling of the fire, and about ready to go to sleep. Alright, well, I'm going to lay here for a little bit longer, and I'm going to pass out and go to sleep pretty quick here. Catch you all in the morning. Good night. Coffee's on. Morning everyone, it's about 5:30 right now. I just started coffee and gonna get that going here, and then I'll start breakfast in a little while. Alright, coffee's done. Just been percolating for probably 15 minutes.
It's a little cold this morning. Little honey for the coffee, little honey for me. Ooh, that's good. Hot too. Oh yeah. There we go. Yeah, I'm just gonna start getting stuff packed up here and walking into the Yukon. I'm gonna get breakfast on in a second here. Got the fire good and hot for it. And I'm gonna pour another cup of coffee once I take this stuff to the truck. So let's go. Alright, let's start breakfast. Ooh, pan's hot, that's for sure. Maybe a little too hot. Put that up for a second. Some butter in it. We're just going to take that leftover brat and 4 eggs. I got some English muffins. Not quite sure how those are going to turn out because my pan from the brats is still dirty. So I got to cook it all in this little pan. I noticed last night that, or I realized that last night I never had my cheese on my brats like I said I was going to. So we'll have some cheese on the eggs today. First egg in. Oops. Oh, I guess that one's for the bears. Oh boy. Heavy handed on the pepper again. I'm just waiting for breakfast to get done. Splitting some wood for cooking. The smaller the better, it burns faster and hotter. Miss. Now for the cheese. All right, breakfast is ready. I'm gonna eat up. That's really good with that cheese. 8-year-old cheddar cheese. I decided not to have the English muffins since my other pan is pretty dirty still, and I'm going to wash that after I get done eating. So I didn't really have a place to warm them up or cook them. Yes, I brought milk again. Well, I'm good to go now for the day. Well, most of the day. Alright, well, I'm going to start getting camp packed up. And probably going to take a little walk down this trail. I might take a walk down that other trail over there too. I could drive down that trail, but I don't know, with all the snow that we got, I don't think it's a good idea to drive down it. Because just past this little trail that I'm on right now, when you're going down the other main trail, there's no tracks in all the snow that we've gotten so far. And it's kind of a drop off on both sides, so I really don't want to take the chance and sliding off of there. Wouldn't make for a good day. Make for a good video though. Make for a good video though. So this morning when I woke up, I noticed some things with the tent, and unfortunately it's got some burn holes in it. Oh yeah, you see that daylight over there like no other. Then there's another one right there just below the stove jack. Then there's a couple up at the peak. Another one over here. So that's not good. I'm gonna have to do some repairs this week on it. Had to warm the coffee back up. She got cold. That's the last time I'm rolling that thing up. Oh, forgot to put my little chimney strap on there. Not pulling it out of the bag.
Well, camp's all packed up. I'm going to haul the last of this stuff to the Yukon, and that'll be that for this video. Unfortunately, I'm not going to go take a hike down the trails. I'd really like to, but it's getting kind of late. I just can't today. So, and plus the snow's pretty deep. I kind of need some snowshoes. That would make it a lot easier. Well, if you liked the video, like, subscribe, share, comment. If you want to see some more in content on hunt tent camping and other outdoor activities. All right, thanks for watching and have a great day.